All right, so let's go over to the render menu over here. And I'm going to go ahead and dock that by grabbing this little circle and moving it over here to our side palette. And we've got our render tab open right here. So we're going to make a few adjustments inside here and go ahead and do our render. So first thing, let's go into the render properties right here. And we want to make sure that we turn on ambient occlusion. For this demo, we're going to keep it pretty simple and just really do the basics. So ambient occlusion is really all we're going to need in addition to what ZBrush is going to give us anyway. All right, let's go ahead and just close that up for now. Okay, and if we come over to render pass right here, you'll see this button BPR, and that is our best preview render. All right, so we're going to go ahead and just click on that. And, again, for this demo, we're keeping it simple. We just want to show you the process and technique to get some images out. You can come in at another time and start playing with some of these other adjustments here. The SPIX slider controls the quality of the anti-aliasing. So you can increase that sort of thing if you want to get a slightly sharper image. Also down in the render properties as well, you can take this details. Again, if you hold control, it says the details slider will increase the quality of your render, but it'll slow the render down. So again, if you want to increase the quality, you can, I suggest that you hover over this and hold control and read what it does right there, and then decide if you want to up this or not. Okay, not if you just leave it at the default, you're still going to get a really good image. Okay. So let's close this up. Let's go back to render pass, and we're going to click on this BPR button right here. Okay, and then let it do its thing. Now this is going to be our first pass. We may have to make a change or two, especially when it comes to the shadows. And I suspect we will, but let's see what we get by default. All right, so you can see across here in our, up here at the top, it's letting us know how much time we have left. So just keep an eye on that and let that finish. And there we go. And you can see now we've got some shadows. The light is coming from the direction that we set it. And we also have in our render pass tab now, you can see as I hover over these, we've got several different passes. A shaded color pass, a depth pass, a shadow pass, our ambient occlusion pass, and a mask pass. And we can export all of these out, which we're going to do, and comp them into Florida, into Photoshop. But one thing I want to change though is the shadows. The shadows are just a little bit strong, a little bit dark, too deep. So let's make a little change here. Let's come over to BPR shadow, and let's take the rays and move those up from 12 to, let's say, about 50. All right, I'm just going to type in 50 and hit enter. And then let's take the angle and move this up to about 100. So I'm going to just type in 100 and hit enter. All right, so that's changing the rays and the angles of the BPR shadows, and that's the only thing I'm going to touch in here. Okay, I'm going to close this up, and I'm going to click on this BPR button one more time. Now I do want to show you that we did the render, and you can see it's rendered here. If we move it, you can see that we lose the render. The shadows and all that are gone if you just move your model a little bit. I just want you to be aware of that little thing there. You can render it and it'll be rendered, but if you move it, you lose the render. All right? But now that I've moved my model, I want to come down here to ZapLink Properties and go ahead and hit Front and just make sure I have them locked right back where I had them before. And then I'm going to come back up to my BPR button in my BPR Pass palette right here and click on BPR one more time. And we'll see that the shadows, you can see right here how dark and hard they are. You'll see that on this next render that they'll be much softer, a little bit more believable, if you will. So let's give this a minute to finish. And there we go. And you can see the shadows here are much softer. All right, if I hover over this guy, you can see the shadow pass. Much nicer shadows. So this is good. This is what we want. And now we're going to go ahead and export all of these images out here. Okay. So to do that, we just need to click on our first icon right here. And you'll see that it'll open up a Finder window. I'm just going to go open up my desktop, and I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm just going to call this ZBrush 2 Photoshop. Okay, and we'll create that right there. And my the first pass I kicked out right here is called the BPR render. Now, you could at this point go ahead and rename it if you want. Call it color or color pass if you want. But it's okay if we just leave these right here, because each one of these is going to have its own sort of name. And for this demo, I'm just going to leave them exactly as they are. They are Photoshop files, which is perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this BPR render, but know that if you want, you could change the name. All right, I'm going to go ahead and save it. And then I'll do the same thing for each one of these. This one is our BPR depth as a PSD file. Our shadow pass, we'll click on that, and we'll export that out. Our ambient occlusion pass, AO, we'll save that out. And our mask pass right here, all right, we'll save that out as well. All right, so we've exported out our images. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and bring them into Photoshop and start comping them together.